stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Milner. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy, and I want to welcome you to part one of this episode of the Unpleasant Blind Guy. Now remember, if you want to contact me with comments, questions, show suggestions, Awesome American suggestions, I'm available at UBG Contact on Twitter, or I can also be found as Dave Milner or Agador, that's Aggedor, on Mumblet, the Tea Party Community, Spreely, Minds, MeWe, or Gab. Now let's begin.
Hey folks, welcome to Kaiser's Castle. Today I have a special treat. A lot of people like to listen to these shows on both of our channels, and he'll be mirroring it today. On the English Defense League's channel, on wherever it's at, he'll fill you in on that. His name is Dave Milner. Everybody has liked the shows today, or up to date. And so, while you take a seat on my big orange couch, pop open your favorite coffee, tea, soda, or adult libation, and just sit back, relax, while we lecture from an empty chair. With that being said, how goes everything there, Dave, brother?
Real well, Kaiser. Hello to you, and of course, a Merry Christmas right now. And people will be listening to this through the Unpleasant Blind Guy page at Spreaker.com. And to you guys, because this is going to come out late there, I'm going to say, hey, it's 2020. And this is going to be the first show that you guys will hear with me actually back and available. Okay, so, and as a little program note, there might be some cussing, and that's just the way Kaiser rolls, but I think you'll get some good information, and yeah, Kaiser, looking forward to it. So, got any good holiday plans there, man?
Oh yeah, got plans for Christmas and got some travel plans for work, and these things just happen. Sometimes they coincide. And so I'll be having an interesting time, and I'm sure you will too. You take a hiatus 3 times a year, and this is one of the times you take it, and that's why you said it'll be the first of the year till anybody hears it on your channel. And that'll be lovely for everybody to listen to and see how he does his thing. And these shows have gotten really good reviews, or people, have enjoyed them. And I'll be hooking these up because YouTube plays games. I'll be on BitChute and Library, LYBR, or LYBY. It's a new thing that they do, and I got on it, and I'm all my programs are going to migrate to other sites. So when YouTube shuts it down, it's not a problem to me, because I'm not going to be shut up or shut down by anybody. Your thoughts, brother?
Well, it's got to be said, the satirist, the young satirist Soph, who is just a wonderful relief to listen to some of her older shows, puts her teasers on BitChute. After Greta Thunberg, almost anything is a relief to listen to, and Soph's programs are on BitChute as well. And now she has just her teasers on there, but you can hear some of her older shows, and you get an idea of whether or not you want to support her on Free Speech TV. And I know Paul Joseph Watson is also on BitChute. BitChute is coming to be the place to go because, of course, we know who runs YouTube. I mean, Google runs them. I find it very fascinating. I have to say that Glenn Beck is just abandoning his cable contracts, and he's making a very big deal about going to his YouTube channel. You know, and I'm listening to this, and I'm thinking, okay, as a guy who, along with a lot of EDL supporters and truth tellers from the UK. I am from the United States, by the way, but I'm one of their friends. Was banned off of Facebook. I can assure him that being banned and being barred from these social media sites can happen at any time for any reason or for no reason at all. I mean, all you have to do is ask Tommy Robinson about some stuff like that. So was it the smartest move on Glenn Beck's part to do this? Well, in some senses, yes. Maybe in some others, no. He may want to be looking at BitChute himself, or possibly Free Speech TV, because guys, it's changing out there, and we really have to be prepared to move with whatever the attacks are that come. I want to say real quick, and Kaiser, and then I'll throw it back to you. One of the things you want to do, and I've been involved with computers since 1984. Do not put all your pictures and stuff like that on Facebook or on any remote server or anything of that nature, okay? Always store those locally. Burn them to CDs, DVDs, things of that nature. You want to have those in your hands, because Facebook, when they did do their big purge of myself and so many other people, and so many people from the UK, those people, a lot of them had completely trusted Facebook, the last thing you should do, and they wound up losing family pictures and things of that nature that they'll never get back. So always store your stuff locally and be prepared to go to other social media sites. And yeah, I know Facebook's easy to use. And some of these others, well, all these others have a learning curve, and it's hard, but you can do it. Listen, if I can do it, you can do it. I mean, right now, I'm Dave Milner Agador. I'm on Gab. I'm on MeWe. I'm on Minds. I'm on Spreely. I'm on Mumblet. I'm on the Tea Party community. I'm on all of those. It takes me bloody forever to advertise a show, but I'm on all of those. And I'm on Twitter as well, of course, but who knows when I'm not going to get blocked off of Twitter. So, Kaiser, your views on all that, man?
I agree with you. I've been migrating for quite a while to every one of the sites just about you've mentioned. I'm also on YK, the Russian site. You just put the stuff out there because, like you said, you can lose everything. It was funny. I did a show about my Indonesian contract. It was investigating a homicide and 6 arsons. And I put it up on BitChute, YouTube, but of course, I fully expect YouTube to pull my channel just because a friend of mine who actually makes his own music, it's not anybody else's music. I now have blank spots on YouTube because they said I didn't have written permission, and they were putting publishing by different companies that he's not a part. This guy does his own stuff, and it didn't even sound like anybody else's music. The intro is an example of it. It's Game Time by Axion Ghost. You'll find him on YouTube, and you also find him on why am I mind dumping? SoundCloud. So good musician, has a lot of good stuff, but yeah, for some reason they just wanted to give me some strikes. They say it's going to be removed on the 25th, Christmas Day. Well, I think Christmas Day is going to be the day that they deplatform. This mass deplatforming that they've been talking about, I think it's going to happen then. And I was fortunate that I had the photos from that on a thumb drive, for evidentiary purposes. I needed to have that. And that's factoid. A lot of people don't understand. You can't take anything down if you're doing something. Just because, it's just like as a military policeman, I learned this in the Army, and then in the Marine Corps, it was reinculcated. Your notebook. You don't go putting girls' numbers in your notebook, because that notebook is able to be brought into court. And, I was a single man back in those days. So guess what I always carried? A second notebook. And that notebook was not able to be, because there was nothing in there regarding the case. So it was, not anything anybody could demand. But yeah, I'm all into keeping it on site by yourself, because in all honesty, there's much fuckery afoot, and they can stop me on one platform while I'm on 5 others. Unless you're going to try to stop everything. And if I got to, I'll burn them to goddamn CDs and mail them out to people. I don't give a fuck. My voice won't be shut down. Your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and mass deplatforming, for anybody that thinks it can't happen, it absolutely did. Just ask anybody who knows about the story of Tommy Robinson and the documentary he did called Panel Drama. He did that, and all of the Google-based and Facebook-based entities just put the hammer down on any of his supporters. You couldn't even mention his name on Facebook, and you'd get put in Facebook jail. And of course, Hope Not Hate got hold of some of this stuff. That's the Brit equivalent of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and they alerted Facebook to American users, and they got shut down. People like myself, not put it in Facebook jail, just banned. So, is there a possibility of a mass deplatforming coming up soon? It would not surprise me one iota, because the left right now, Kaiser and listeners, are running scared. They are frightened to death that people have a voice on the internet, and they know that no one is listening to their funny money supported new quote unquote news organizations like MSNBC and CNN and all of those. They're still on air and everything, but they couldn't make a dime if they were on their own. But nobody's listening to them. And the only thing they've got left is trying to silence people. So that is what they're trying to do. And the trouble is, it's the old Star Wars axiom, the more star systems you or the tighter you grip, the more systems will slip through your fingers, I think is the line. And
yep, that's what it was.
Yeah, that's what's going on right now. The grip is getting tighter and tighter. They're throwing everything at the wall they can. The latest thing is this circle game deal. What you and I probably remember as the OK sign, unless of course you're in Brazil, and that means you're calling somebody an a-hole. But
exactly,
they're now saying that's a white supremacist sign, and there's going to be an investigation of Annapolis over this. That occurred because of the Army-Navy game. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but see, the funny thing is, it's just like the milk thing. People on 4chan and 8chan got a hold of it, and they were just goofing around making a joke. Well, of course, you've got Antifa, Hope Not Hate, you have ADL, SPLC, all running to those sites, and they take that stuff as a joke to be serious. And it's the circle game. I mean, you could see from the picture, the guy's holding it down, like looking at him, and his buddy wasn't looking at it yet, but he knew he was about to, and he was going to punch him on the arm. It's the same kind of crap. But, this is nothing more. Stick, Sex, and Hammer has it on the head, honestly, on this. And so does, believe it or not, a leftist by the name of Tim Pool and Dave Rubin. I mean, those two leftists really, and Sticks is pretty much a libertarian. But the point is, they all realize the same silliness. And it's what Reagan said back in the 80s. You and I remember hearing it when, he made his first presidential run. He said, I didn't leave, it was gubernatorial run. He said, I never left the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. And that was factual. That was factual back then, and it's even more factual now with the far left. And the funny thing is, I've even seen it with Republicans or right of center people that say they are. They want a social signal so bad, they even will let the left help them to try to identify, everybody who's a Trump supporter has got to be a Nazi. And if you were doing something to figure something out, and trust me, It's happened to me. You know, people think, here's the thing that's so ignorant about this. They don't realize doxing in the U.S. is a crime. That is something that is actionable criminally. And the other thing they don't realize is, as much as everybody wants to think I'm a YouTube star, this, that, and the other, not me, I'm saying, you know, other people, what they realize, and I'll never mention names because I do know the law, civilly, that's a problem. And it's called defamation of character. And it doesn't matter what you think you know, if somebody can go to court and prove that as a falsehood, guess what happens? You done lost the case. But see, the left, look at those, what was it, 5 or 4 girls that beat up that 14-year-old boy on the bus. They say it's because of a MAGA hat. You know, who really knows the backstory? But still, he had, you know, skull damage, brain damage from it. Not like he's a vegetable or something. And it was a vicious attack captured on film. These morons posted to social media. And the point is, you know, they've all been arrested now. And these are kids that have destroyed their lives over bullshit politics. Dave, I think me and you brushed on this once, and I'd like to go into it just for the youth that may be listening. You know, and you know, my channel is mostly focused on mentoring. When you were a young man, just like when I was, can you ever remember a time that somebody said, that's a Democrat or that's a Republican, don't talk to them in your family?
Oh, no. Now, you know, we would have spirited arguments in my family because I had a big family. We would have spirited arguments over politics, certainly. But there was never any violence and almost never any even hint that there might be violence. Certainly not outside the family. You know, if someone got a little crazy with their talk, then the other kids would just say, man, yeah, okay, whatever, and just walk away because they knew they were taking it seriously. It was politics. It didn't have anything to do with the social situation. We didn't hate each other because we agreed with Democrats or because we agreed with Republicans. You know, we were concerned as kids. This is from a kid mindset about important things like, you know, where, you know, how we were going to be able to score some beer or some weed that night, or you know, what girl liked us and what girl didn't like us, and could we hook up with this or that girl or whatever. You know, the kinds of things that kids worry about. The last thing that we had on our mind was politics. A Greta Thunberg would have been just thought of as a complete freak back when I was going into high school in the mid to late 1970s.
Oh yeah. She would have been ostracized. Somebody like that would have even been ostracized back in the 80s. I guess my greater point is that, you know, you could be out there playing a game of football or baseball, which was my sport. And, you know, you may MF each other, this, that, and the other. But in all honesty, you know, it's about the game. The last thing we gave a fuck about was the politics. And this is from an 80s standpoint. 70s were a little different. You guys had a little more problems going on. I was a little kid when that shit was going on. But anyways, with politics, it would more likely be. I remember me and my buddy having a discussion. This back when I was a screaming lib, probably a communist. You know, as a young man, because you know when you're young, you're stupid. And I'll never forget. He brought up nuclear war, and he was all afraid of it and stuff. And you know, I was like, well, good. You're the first time we ever talked politics about that. And then when I got in the Army and I was actually working on a nuke site, I actually was looking for the truth. And I did. I went to the Green Party because this is after what was the name of that World War III with Rock Hudson and David Soul. You remember that movie, that made-for-TV movie?
No, I don't.
Oh, yeah.
David Soul. But go ahead.
Well, anyways, it was how World War III started. And then there was another one called something, I can't remember what it was, Nuclear Winter or something. Anyways.
I think you're talking about The Day After.
Yeah, The Day After. That was the second movie. That was after World War III. Anyways, the point was that, they were trying to scare everybody with this shit. And I remember they had a Russian journalist and an American journalist from 2020, if memory serves. And Polznin, Vladimir Polznin, who was a famous television person from, what the hell was the name of that back then? Shit, even my Cold War days, it's sinking. It was
well, by the 80s, it was Russian TV. I know that. Now, what it was before then, I have no idea.
It was a part of. Anyways, it'll come to me. I don't want to get log jammed into it. It would pop into my old fucking mind. But the point is, they did it like an after talk, and you had some Vietnam veteran in the audience, and you had this other. And he's wearing his uniform, of course, and you have this Russian soldier, because they did it in Russia, if memory serves, and they were allowed to bring so many Americans over, and anyway, so it was an after-action kind of talk. It was pretty cool. And so anyways, when I get to Germany, I'm looking at the Greens, and I'm like, okay, these people, because the military told me, nuclear war is the most survivable kind of war, and it really is. But I didn't know that then. I was afraid of nuclear winter and all this other weird shit. And so what I did was I listened to him, and it was nothing but hyperbole. It was just continuing a narrative. And I started saying, man, this doesn't make sense. The Army says this. And I bought a book. It was called Surviving Doomsday. The guy's name is Dr. I've got the book somewhere, but I'm not going to get up right now while we're doing this show to look at it. And then I got a bunch of other different books. And Clayton, Dr. Bruce D. Clayton, that was his name. And anyways, then there's another book written by another guy, Would Insects Inherit the Earth? And all of a sudden, they're citing U.S. military and in other parts, Russian military and wind zones. I mean, there's a lot to it you have to understand. But after about 14 days, you can start coming up from your shelter and getting limited dose for like 20 minutes, and you're fine. And then within a certain amount of time, because it half-lives. If you didn't get blasted by the blast, by the heat, by the fires that will erupt, you're probably going to survive. And that was something Americans weren't thinking about, except for back when we called it survivalism. And then, of course, they vilified survivalists, and they vilified preppers, which was just a name change. It's the same thing, but it's nothing different, as a brother of mine explained to me. At the end of my time in the Marine Corps, it was close to it. It was after the Gulf War. He said, what you going to do? I said, well, I'm not going to be a cop, which I ended up doing. And I wasn't going to stay in the military, which I ended up doing as a reservist, National Guardsman. And I said, I'll sell all my guns and just walk the earth like Kung Fu, making a joke, right? And he goes, why would you sell your guns? You have a Second Amendment right. And I looked at him, I said, you must be one of them fucking survivalists. And he shoveled that shit right back in my face. He goes, you're an Eagle Scout, right? I was like, yeah, hell yeah. So is my son now. And he goes, okay, so where are you from? And we'd known each other a long time. And he either never heard me say it or I never said it to him where I was from, which shocks me at this, age. But I know when my wake up started. And I said, Columbus, Ohio. That's where I was from. And he goes, okay, in the winter. You guys get a winter there. Yeah, it's a bad one here. Uh-huh. And he goes, I bet I can tell you what you got in your trunk. I said, well, what? I'm not even thinking where he's going. Salt or sand. You probably got a shovel. You got a candle, flashlight, probably some candy bars, and a blanket or two in your trunk every winter. And I said, yeah. You'd be stupid not to. You could get stranded, in a snowstorm or something. And he goes, "You're a fucking survivalist." He said, all that means is you're prepared for anything. It doesn't mean you're prepared for the end of the world. I saw a YouTuber one time crying about he lost his job. He had food stocks for 2 years. And in the comment section, he did this whole program showing all of his preps or whatever. And I was like, guy, build your resume, find a job. You don't have to worry about food. The one thing you don't have to worry about now is food. You've got 2 years worth of food. This is your personal survival and Holocaust. So you can stop it. And he finally got it anyway. So anyways, I don't want to get on that diatribe, but I think you can see a progression there that's sort of logical, right?
Well, yeah, and by the way, it's Soviet TV that I was thinking of, not Russian TV. Yeah, certainly I can. And as far as the whole prepper thing goes, some of these people just take it to extremes. The ones that try to put down quote unquote preppers, and this extends to people even having things like a first aid kit. And now, mind you, even the U.S. government says, keep a couple of weeks worth of food in your house, keep a first aid kit in your house, keep a certain amount of fresh water stored. I mean, it just makes common sense. Okay, maybe you're not going to get nuked. Maybe you're going to have a flood. Maybe you're going to have a hurricane. Just ask anybody on the east or central coasts, southern coasts, about quote unquote prepping. You might have a hurricane. You might have a power outage from a snowstorm, as you said. It just makes a certain amount of common sense to gather stuff like that together. I need to gather some more stuff like that. Come to that. Now, but really it comes down to how people are perceived and the mindset that the globalists want to try and put on everybody else. Now, you talked a little bit ago about who's representing the left now. And this is where God is working here, because I didn't get to see all of it, but Paul Watson just released just released a video, and he was talking about, in a sense, the very same thing, why the left got, completely shellacked in the December the 12th election. And he said it was because their Labor Party, their equivalent Americans of the Democrat Party, had failed in their core mission, which used to be to support working class people, just ordinary people. And who they wound up with at the top of their Labor Party were these privileged, university snot-nosed, bigoted, mind-setted people who had absolutely no connection with people in the mining towns over there or the farming villages or anything of that nature. They're more worried about things like global warming and blurring the sexes and all this other nonsense.
Like Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn, the Weather Underground, the Move out of Pennsylvania. I mean, all these different freak show organizations from the 60s, well, they're now at an age where they're kind of respectable, even though they were fucking terrorists. Remember, Obama released the last terrorist from the FNLA. And I believe, if memory serves, Pravda was the name of the television channel and also their newspaper. And all that means is, it's basically their propaganda. And the funny thing is, towards the end of the war, I remember this most definitely because of reasons. And I remember that they had dog walking hours in the Soviet Union. And what that was when Pravda was on the television show, or their television channels, and the news came on, they would take their dogs out for a walk to piss and shit. And it was because that was the time the Soviets no longer believed the media. And there's something I told my wife. She got all into this program, and I told her this years ago, and she didn't believe me. And now all of a sudden she believes me because of some damn Netflix TV show called Six Underground. And I was like, there's a handful, not a handful, but every country has a certain amount of people that can do certain things. And I'm not getting into the subjects because I don't need to. But the point is, there's three legs to the stool of any coup. I've told this on my show numerous times, and I'm saying it to you. I might have said it to you before. If I did, I apologize. But you need the three M's: money, media, and the military. Without having all three of them, no coup can survive. And if you disbelieve, look at Turkey. When Turkey got attempted coup, you saw that, where'd he go? They didn't secure all the media. They had the money and the military already on board. And once that President Vobagan, or whatever his name is, I don't even care about him anymore. Once he was able to get on the media and tell the Turkish people he was still alive, the coup was over. And that's a fact. So we're seeing that now in our own country. The point that I was making out is now we're going through our same dog walking hours because nobody's watching the media, and they think the way to do it is to get everybody that's not media that comments on society or comments on politics out of YouTube and other social medias, because that's why they lost the first time. And that's Alphabet, ABC's parent, or ABC, YouTube's parent organization, which is the Google parent organization. And the interesting part to that, a lot of people didn't look up old Schmidt and where his family ties go from. But I'll tell you a little funny factoid that I bet you didn't know. In Germany, maybe you did. If you did, you can tell me. In Germany, YouTube's chief in charge over there, and for Alphabet, it's a female, former Stasi bitch. And I bet you didn't know that. And guess what building they bought for YouTube to live in? The former Stasi building where Erich Milke, Erich Honecker, and all the other little Stasi fucks were living. And if people want to know more about this, go to Living Other People's Lives, and you'll see a good documentary on this. Anyway, sorry to detract, but I was trying to add to what you were saying with verifiable facts of past and present.
Well, no, it doesn't surprise me at all. None of that does, because of the way that they're trying to do it. I mean, you have all these people. Of course, someone that was a former Stasi would run YouTube in Germany. You have other elements. You have Justin Trudeau in Canada now saying that he wants tougher prison sentences for people who get on social media and engage in what he calls hate speech. And of course, hate speech would be things like anyone telling the truth about Islam or anyone opposing his government or anything like that, which sounds very familiar to people in China, which has a social credit system. That's something that Andrew Yang wants, by the way, for us. And one way you can get in trouble with the social credit system is to criticize the social credit system. I mean, this, it's very strange that the left, of course, will try and make fun of people on the right who say that communism still represents a threat. But it's all around us. And there are so many people, this is part of the reason why I do what I do. There are so many people who just think of, for instance, Google as a search engine. Well, just Google it. It's become a verb. Okay. I personally use DuckDuckGo, and that's because they don't track you. And people say, well, Google works better. Well, it doesn't, in my opinion. I find everything I'm looking for with DuckDuckGo. I won't go anywhere near Google. And the people have to wean themselves from these things that are against them. And that is going to be a struggle in the year to come. Kaiser, we just finished 2019, more or less, and Jeff Mitchell of the English Defense League radio show, which I help him with, called this the Year of the Patriots. And indeed it has been. You've seen patriot uprisings all over the planet. Central, South America, you've seen it in Iran again, all right? You saw it in Hong Kong. Many people around the planet have had enough. And much of this has to do with social media. And I agree with you in one sense. You know, I've said it on my own show in my series, The Way Back, which will be running probably in April of 2020. Again, look, if it comes down to it, we'll write notes on pieces of paper and pass them back and forth. The left isn't going to shut us up. In fact, the harder they try to shut us up, the worse it's going to make them look and the better it's going to make us look. And that you're starting to see that right now with people making all these protests. And by the way, Kaiser, I just want to say, a great guy for you to contact. I'll try and get you his email address. Is a man named Carl Melamed. He left Iran as he and his family left Iran when he was 1 year old after the revolution, and they are Iranian Jews. He still has many contacts in Iran, and he is a really good guy to talk to. You might want to have him on your show. We did have him on the English Defense League radio show. Guys, go to Blog Talk Radio and you'll find that. We did mark that he was our special guest one day. And, you know, he's a good man for you to talk to.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to have him on. I have a friend of mine who, his father was air traffic controlman for, you know, a contracted air traffic controlman for the military, because we had, under the Shah, we had a few bases there, and he worked at one of them, and they had to leave like days before that shit happened, and so everybody knew it was coming. And that's one of the fallacies that Carter and the communists are the problem. Yeah, I'd love to look, you know, even though everybody thinks I'm a Nazi, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I voted for Trump, whatever, eat a dick. My point is, the truth will out. It always will. And I would love to have, I've had several Jews on my channel, and I don't have a problem with them. And, you know, but yeah, no, I guess for certain people's narratives, I should be firing up the ovens. You know, you just hit a hot button with me. Back in the day, there was a newspaper, you probably remember it, called The Spotlight. And it was even more of a conspiracy theory paper than the National Enquirer. And if they don't think that people will start printing up look, Alex Jones and the health ranger, Mike Adams, I'm on there too, band.video. But I just haven't uploaded anything to it yet, because that's my last resort. But once I do, you know, I'll put my stuff all up there. I still have my shows with the music, and so that'll all be uploaded. You know, I went from having over 200 shows to when I uploaded everything to Library, and they haven't, and BitChute has the same thing. They will propagate your stuff from YouTube over to their channel, and you don't have to do a thing. And the funniest part about that, you'll laugh about this, is I have 185 now. That's how many YouTube pulled over this little kerfuffle of music. And one of them, now I'm half Dago. So I brought up a certain Chris Cuomo and talked about his family in real terms. And because I said, oh, you're a tough guy. You're not a tough guy. You know, he acts like he's some sort of mafioso, or he even knows the game. You know, I'm half Sicilian, half fucking Kraut, half German. And, you know, it just fucking drives me nuts when I hear these morons try to pontificate about what they are and where their lineage is. It's like we're all bastards in America. You know, everybody's fucking everybody. We had a saying in my hillbilly family, oh, we love all the kids, even the ones born on the other side of the blanket. So, you know, it's just retarded. And this is where America has come.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm an absolute mutt myself. I mean, I've got English, Norwegian, some French in there. I mean, I've even got a little amount of Cherokee. Yes, I'm not a fake Indian like Elizabeth Warren. My family spent a little bit of time near Tahlequah, Oklahoma. So do some research and then bite me. We're a typical American today can have just about everything in them. And I think that's a good thing. I think it gives us a lot of strength, and you'll see more and more people of mixed races and things like that as time goes on, as you're beginning to see now. And again, I think it's a good thing. It comes to something that we talked about on EDL Radio when we were talking about immigration. And I've always felt that as long as someone is willing to abide by our Constitution, abide by our Bill of Rights, and live and let live, and not try to push their ideology on everybody else like the Mohammedans try to do, then I'm cool with them coming to this country as long as they have a skill that they can go to work and utilize.
Well, hell, we had Jamie Farr, who was a comedian, and everybody knows what he was. He was a Libyan. We've had many Mohammedans come in, and they did assimilate into a culture. But when you have unbridled people coming in from the third world, and I call it the third world, just like Michael Savage, always a Jew. By the way, I know him, and I knew his son back when he was running, when he owned Rockstar. It was a drink, and he used to do MMA stuff. And I got invited to go to one of those things by somebody, anyways, I don't want to name drop too much. But the point is, communist, here's the thing, and here's why they say globalist and communist are code words for Jews. And I'm going to tell you where this comes from. Because all of the communists, unfortunately, were Jewish. Okay? We're talking Lenin, Stalin, all of them. Okay? Some people even say Hitler was part Jewish. I don't know. I've never really done a deep dive into Hitler, and I don't really care to. My point being is, you have this kind of thought process, and that's old school. That's back in the day. And then you had the Frankfurt School come over here, which is where globalism started. No matter what anybody wants to say, America, that's where they took over your educational system. And
completely agree.
And unfortunately, they were all Jewish. And media, there's I'll tell you what, Dave and several other people, there's some, they're comedians, and two of them are Jewish on there. Dave, I can't think of it, Dave Smith, and, can't think of his name right now, but anyways, the podcast is called, they're all comedians on it, and the leader of it is a Puerto Rican. It's out in New York City. It's the Legion of Skanks, and it's hilarious shit. And they're being called white supremacist. Big J Okerson is the other Jewish guy, and it's hilarious. You have people like Rich Voss that they think is a white supremacist somehow. He's Jewish and has been forever. And, they have so perverted this that everybody's got to be an anti-Semite. And I don't care. Call me what you will. If you don't know me, I don't know you. And I don't give a fuck what you say. I'll own it. As a matter of fact, I'll double down. Call me a neo-Nazi. I'll say I'm a fucking ardent Nazi. Just to fuck with you. Same thing if you call me a fascist. I don't give a fuck. It's a word. You think I weren't called worse names than that when I was a fucking cop? So, it's retardation. And it's infected. Like you said earlier, Annapolis, West Point, you have fucking people taking what these leftists are saying real When even the SPLC no longer, and it was even under Obama, they were no longer be taken seriously because everything is anti-Jewish. No, everything's not. There used to be a time where somebody would say, hey, Dago, come here. Okay, yeah, I'm a Dago. Whatever. It's okay. Hey, Kraut, come here. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm half Kraut. Okay, whatever. You think I gave a fuck about that, brah? You know better than that. I mean, develop some thicker skin for the thin-skinned people out there. Your thoughts?
Well, when you look at it from the wider perspective of the way they're trying to use anti-Semitism, I did a show last year, which you guys can find at the SHR Media Unpleasant Blind Guy page, or excuse me, the Spreaker.com Unpleasant Blind Guy page, and it may even be in the Unpleasant Blind Guy YouTube page, and in the SHR Media YouTube page. It was called Don't Be. And I went through chapter and verse and showed how it's actually the left that are the real anti-Semites. You want to see who the real anti-Semites are? Look at who's creating the policies that are for or against Israel. Okay, that's how you can tell who the real anti-Semites are. As for the great Jewish conspiracy, I never bought into that crap, even as a kid. And people and look, I might get in trouble for saying this. It really don't matter. It doesn't matter to me. The prejudices against Jewish people. Some Christians say, well, the Jews killed Jesus. What Jewish people in one city urged the Romans to 2,000 years ago? Yeah. What does that have to do at all with anything today? You know what? Zero. Jesus was a Jew. Okay? And this other nonsense that they talk about, well, the Jews own everything. So, let me see if I get this straight. People work their butts off and they make money. And then when they have an established business, they leave that to their kids. Okay, I'm not seeing anything wrong or bad in this. And I'm not seeing a big fat conspiracy in this. It's just people. The best way, instead of being triggered by everything, just take people as you find them. That's what we did, Kaiser.
That's exactly
back in the day. That's what we did 40 years ago, man. Let me tell you. Okay, 40 years ago, what were we doing? I went to school with black people. I went to school with Mexicans, because mostly that's what there were in Texas at the time. And what did we do? We got together. We partied with each other. Sometimes we had arguments and stuff like that, but it almost never got racial. It was over kid stuff. Who disrespected who, blah blah. All the idiocy that kids get in arguments about. And
that is it for this time. Next time, part 2. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye. The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2020. Anno Domini. Now for Dave's Canes. Extras that help you navigate the new media world.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
This is Shannon Wright of The Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Mike's not here, so I gotta talk fast. You gotta join us. Fall season. Getting ready to start up with a whole bunch of new stuff. News and food and politics and sports and entertainment and a whole bunch of stuff. But wait, Mike's coming. I gotta go. Remember, Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media, Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. Make sure you tune in.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
Join me, Jack Alexander, for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the issues affecting the USA. I fearlessly take on the issues that everyone else is too scared to touch. The Jack Alexander Experiment podcast is available wherever good podcasts can be found, like Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. The Jack Alexander Experiment, because it's not a matter of left versus right, it's a matter of right versus wrong.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Featuring the effervescent contrarian Sackheads Clint, plus the unrestrained bulbosity of BZ, the Sackheads Against Tyranny is a real chat show. Doubling your late-night conservative talk show pleasure with double the hosts, you can listen every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Please note, some contents may have settled during shipping. Member FDIC, batteries not included, warranty void in Montenegro.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.